I don't really remember getting into photography. I think I just remember always being into photography from like a really young age, always having a camera around my neck. My dad gave me my first camera when I was maybe 10, 11. It was an Olympus OM10 that I used to have on a piece of baler's twine around my neck and just take it everywhere with me. And yeah, I suppose it's just always hooked. My name is Brendan Barry. I'm a photographer, an educator, and I've always enjoyed building things. I was lucky enough to be given the use of a studio space at my friend's old mill. Hello mate, you alright?
Yeah, I'm just dragging myself out of my pit.
We've just come to grab something out of the studio and then we're hooking up the caravan and taking her up the moors.
Are you?
Yeah. Right, we'll catch you in a bit. See you in a bit. And that was where I built, I suppose the precursor to the caravan camera, which was the shed camera. And that was where I kind of developed and tried out a lot of the processes that I'm working with now. This is my old studio. So it's falling apart a bit now. This was my first big camera. So I could come in the back, have a little board in here. So after building random cameras for a while, I decided to build the caravan camera. It started with me just trawling through eBay looking for an old caravan. I found one for £150 just down the road from here. So ripped out the insides, painted it black, covered all the windows, cut a hole in the back of it, put a lens in, built a table for the chemical trays, and it was good to go. So on the count of 3, hold nice and still. 3, 2, 1. So the great thing about the caravan is it's a camera obscura that very easily becomes a camera when you put light sensitive material in front of the lens. It's also a dark room, but also a teaching space as well. And then the outside world becomes the studio. So when I take the caravan out on location, people are often quite curious and they'll kind of wander over and go, like, what is this, what's happening, and I'll invite them inside and show them how it works. But sometimes you'll kind of spot someone or a group of people that either maybe look kind of interesting and I want to make their photograph, or you can see them looking and maybe they're a little bit shy and they won't approach. So I quite often kind of go over to people and just sort of say, oh, you see that big caravan over there that looks like a camera? Well, it is a camera. Do you want to come and have a look?
Yeah. So, come on in. Thank you.
The reaction when people come inside, that's one of the things that's most rewarding for me and most exciting. When you bring people inside and you close the door, and I'll leave the lens cap down often, and you're in this black space, and then I'll open up the lens and the light pours through, so I get them to step back and bring up the screen, and the image from outside is projected in, and it's that reaction.
Oi, that's sick.
Isn't it cool?
So cool.
If you could bottle that, I think that's something really special, and it never gets boring. Even for me, looking at every single time I pull out that screen and outside is projected in, like, I never get bored. And the most exciting thing is seeing other people experience that.
That's excellent. Oh well, we didn't expect this today.
How I started kind of making my own cameras, I suppose I'd always kind of I always loved making things when I was a kid. I used to kind of take apart toys and rebuild them and butcher them and create kind of new ones with them. And I think that kind of just fed into my photography practice. And then, yeah, I suppose I just started thinking about what other things you could make a camera out of. And then I realized that you can pretty much make a camera out of anything.
Today we turned up at this abandoned old airport watchtower, and we have turned a few of the rooms here into camera obscuras, which effectively is a big dark space with a lens in it which lets light in and turns it into a camera.
This is completely brand new. I've never used ready-made objects like cardboard or anything before, and it's really inspiring and makes me want to try and use new things.
Lift, 1, 2, close. As an educator, it's sometimes quite tricky to explain to students how the kind of mechanics of a camera work conceptually. You're trying to talk about aperture and shutter speed, and for someone that's never had any understanding of that before, it's quite a lot to wrap your head around. Bringing people inside the camera is a really good teaching space and a place to kind of explain to people the mechanics of photography in a clearer way.
We've been experimenting with various surreal and at times quite bizarre portraits and incorporating elements of still life into that. We're using all the objects that are found around this area, hoping to sort of minimise how much we're bringing into the scene, just using what's here and hoping we'll come up with something interesting.
Every place brings its own ideas and brings its own like inspiration to things to learn from and things to take from what's around us. And I think even though this place is kind of old and tattered, it feels like we can still use it for a lot of good.
Okay, and then just go down a bit. People often ask, like, why have you made a camera out of a pineapple, for instance? I suppose the short answer is because you can, but actually what it kind of opens up and allows is the possibilities of what a camera is and how one could be made. There's an element of humor to it, obviously. The reaction that I had from people of the cameras that I was making was a lot more kind of engaged and excited. People kind of responded in a very different way. And what's kind of nice about that as well is that, you know, when people are like, oh my God, this is amazing, and you're like, yeah, well, you can do this at home in your bedroom, you know, black out, pull the curtains shut, put some gaffer tape around the edges, and you're wearing glasses, pop out that lens, cut a little hole in your curtains, make sure your mum or dad doesn't mind, and then hold up a piece of card or something behind it, and you've created your own camera obscura, you know? And sometimes it's good to just have a bit of fun with it, I suppose, and not take it all too seriously and, you know, make a camera out of a watermelon and see what happens.